Although arguably inefficient and certainly unwieldy, Imperial walkers were some of the most terrifying weapons available to the Galactic Empire. And with the rumor that Episode 8 will feature a new, more powerful First Order walker, I figured it would be an interesting time to count down the 5 most powerful walkers used by the Empire in the expanded universe. So for this list, we're looking at walkers used predominantly by the Galactic Empire in the Legends canon. And just to make things interesting, we're going to exclude any walker used also by the Galactic Republic, which was adopted by the Empire. So for example, the AT-AT and the AT-AT variants. To qualify for this list, the walker must also be a machine with an operator. So basically, we're excluding any purely organic or robotic walkers. Number 5 on the list is the All-Terrain Advanced Raider, also known as the AT-AR. And although smaller than the pretty terrifying in itself AT-ST, which actually doesn't make this list, the AT-AR was faster, offered more firepower, and was more heavily armored than the Scout Walker. The Walker had room for 2 people, and was much more compact than some of the other Scout Walkers. The standard version had a large gun on the front, but upgraded versions also had cannons on the side. And unlike some of the other smaller 2-legged walkers, the AT-AR was actually made for frontline combat, so for that reason it is the 5th most powerful walker used by the Galactic Empire. Number 4 is the All-Terrain Scout Transport Assault variant, and it's another 2-legged walker like the previous entry. And I know I said the AT-ST wouldn't make the list, but that was only true from a certain point of view. This isn't actually a stock AT-ST, it's a much more heavily armored version of it. The AT-ST Assault, or the AT-ST-A, was not only taller and heavier than the standard AT-ST, but also had a stronger main cannon, a grenade launcher, secondary cannons, closed windows to protect against projectiles, and extra stabilized legs. And again, like the previous entry on the list, this is also a beefed up version of the AT-ST, and it was meant for frontline assault. And to me, this one beats out the AT-AR mostly because of its grenade launcher, along with its thick shielding and extra height. So number 3 is probably the most famous of the walkers used by the Empire, and that's the All-Terrain Armored Transport, also known as the AT-AT, or as some people refer to it, the AT-AT. And this thing was huge. It dwarfed the AT-ST not only in size, but also in armament. And although extremely slow for a land vehicle, the sheer size and firepower of the AT-AT made it a completely fearsome beast. And again, like I just mentioned, it's slow, but also extremely heavy armored. So while you could perhaps see it coming and you could maybe run, it was really hard to take these things down unless you had a tow cable. And its only real weakness was its neck area and its undercarriage. As the name would suggest, AT-ATs were used in various terrains and could be adapted to suit their environment. And again, although these weren't the most practical of vehicles, the pure firepower and terror that they can throw out make it the 3rd most powerful walker used by the Empire. Number 2 is an AT-AT variant called the All-Terrain Ion Carrier. I'm not going to lie, this thing is a little silly. It's basically an AT-AT with the back half cut open and with a giant ion cannon on the back. And from what I can tell, this ion cannon was mostly used to bombard things from long distance, so it kind of changes how the walker is used, but it's still heavily armored, still has its main front cannons, so it's probably still pretty dangerous in a head-on attack. So I included it at number 2 because it's basically a normal AT-AT, but also walking artillery, which is pretty impressive. Alright, so number 1, the All-Terrain Armored Heavy Transport, the AT-AHT. And Jesus, that is hard to say. So I think this one is kind of cheating because there's no real evidence that this was used specifically by the Galactic Empire that we're all thinking of, the one, the main bad guys from the original trilogy. However, it was adapted from the AT-AT, and I'm going to suggest that although we know for a fact it was used by a later Galactic Empire, it was probably also used by the main one. So this thing is basically an AT-AT that has been improved in all aspects. It is, first of all, much heavier armor. So where on the AT-AT you could target its neck or its underbelly, you were in trouble here. It also had heavy laser cannons on its top and on its side. So while you could kind of get away from an AT-AT by going around it and avoiding its head, you couldn't do so with the AT-AHT. So like I said, not only was it more impressive as a weapon and higher armored, it also was a bit faster too. So basically an improvement in all aspects, and for that reason, it is the number 1 walker used by the Galactic Empire, although I guess the use hasn't been formally confirmed. Anyways guys, those are the top 5 walkers used by the Galactic Empire, and this is probably going to be the first of a long series because basically every faction had walkers. I mean, the Republic had walkers, the Yuzhang Vong had walkers, so there could be many, many lists on this topic. So if you guys want to see more, please let me know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, and may the Force be with you.